look at the book and it seems now you cannot need not take it. But when we are just, I looked at the book and it is about 900 to 1000 pages. And if I have to cover it in 9 or 10 lectures or 10 talks, then every talk must contain about 100 pages, isn't it?
Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
Could you, Purani, have you decided then not to give life divine at all, or could you take the part?
No, I will take, not part by part, but I'll take about 100 pages like that. That's what I think of doing. I mean, that is not possible easily, but I will try to cover the questions. I mean, it's not easy. Let us see how much of it we can cover. That's the point. Where to say life divine, when I first read, to me it came as I said, the great intellectual construction, great intellectual architecture. And I thought it was perhaps because I was impressed so well by it. But I met Dr. S.K. Maitra when he first came to pay his respects to Sri Aurobindo at Pondicherry. And he did not come as a disciple. He came as an admirer, I should say, first time when he came. And I asked him how it was that he was so taken up with life divine, and how was it that he got the conviction from life divine. So he gave me an incident of his life, which I would like to relate before I take up the matter of the life divine. So he said that as a young man in college, I was, faced with the alternative of choosing a voluntary subject. And I thought that I want to know the reality. I want to know the ultimate truth. And I want to know it only by my intellect, by my mind. I don't want to give up my mind and say I want to accept something that exists. So with that object, I chose philosophy as my voluntary subject because I believe that in philosophy, all human minds have tried to know the reality, know the truth, know whatever is the ultimate, and have tried to formulate in terms of mind. So I thought I'll take up philosophy and I might be able to come to the knowledge of the reality, understand the truth, or know what is the ultimate. And I went through all, he went through. In fact, he was a very sincere philosopher I ever met in my life, one of the very rare types, because you see, philosophy now has become, a profession also. And it is a career. So there are philosophers and philosophers. There are philosophers who career, there are philosophers who are, interested in ideas, and philosophers who seek promotion through their work, and the philosophers who form coteries and form careers and so on. So it is difficult. But to seek the truth through philosophy is now very, very rare phenomenon. And I found Dr. Mitra an exception among philosophers because he told me that when he was reading all the philosophers, he went through, English, then French and German and Italian philosophers in the original. He read and studied those languages to read the philosophers in the original, so as not to miss anything that they had to say. And he told me that, I found that there was some great truth. They had perceived a truth. They knew that there was something. You can call it X, you can call it, indefinable reality or some truth or some ultimate. And they gave a logical form and a system and a form to it and said, this is that reality. And I felt that much, that there is something without knowing exactly what it was and how it acts. This was not clear to me. It was clear there is something. But the nature of that, I could not exactly. It is something indefinable, absolute, great, powerful, all-pervading, some kind of things like that. But I could not. When I read Life Divine, he said, when it was published in 39 for the first time, I went through it like a student preparing for his examination. I read it, at a stretch, non-stop. I couldn't believe it, he said. And then I said, oh, it was good that I took philosophy. Now I know that there is someone who can ask my intellect to be free, who does not ask that you accept my authority or this is no. He allows my mind to work, my reason to be independent, my intellect to ask questions, and he built up for me in the mind, in the intellect, a picture of the reality which no other philosopher had ever done. I could stand, he told me, on my mind, on my intellect, and look at the reality which he pointed out, and know the exact nature of that reality, its functions, its relation with mind, its relation with man, with life, with universe, with matter. In intellectual architecture, you see, like an ivory tower, solid, in the world of intellectual creations of man's mind. And on the top, a golden, coping tower of the supermind, which took me, took my whole admiration that is something. I know by mind why the world exists, why man exists, why groups are there, why collectivity is there, why matter is there, why life is there, why man is there, and what man has to do on earth, in what lies his fulfillment. This became absolutely clear after Life Divine. That is why he told me I have come to pay my respect to this great man who satisfied my impulse as a student. See, that is one aspect of Life Divine which struck me as something very great. And since then, when I have thought about this problem, I have looked upon Life Divine, and I told this at Benares University, that Life Divine ushers in the new age in humanity. It is the dawn of a new age. Life Divine ushers in a new age. I have spoken already of the nature of this new age, one of my talks at Sedona, but I again say that Life Divine is the declaration which ushers in a new age for humanity. It is the dawn of a new age, an age in which man will consciously go beyond the attained formula of his nature, an age in which man will establish in himself by the constant effort of individuals and groups a new faculty which has not yet become active in humanity. A faculty will become permanent in humanity, which is greater than mind, which is self-existent knowledge, where knowledge and will are not divided, and where truth is not a stranger. That faculty will be established in mankind when the dawn of the new age has actually worked out what it signifies, what it means. But this is already something that has established the necessity of the new age. And this great book gives the rationale, the logic of it. And it is like an architecture in which you walk from room to room and forget the room which you have left, and again lose your way because it is like a labyrinth through which you are led to a solution of the labyrinth. And you walk down and you say, well, where was it that we were last? And what did he prove? And what did he disprove? You forget when you go beyond what you have covered. That is the great size of it defies mental, comprehension and proper understanding. You follow. He told me that step by step, he led me step to step. And I had to say yes, yes at every time. And at the end of some time, I say, but where did we last time? How did we do? And we again have to cover the ground and say, oh yes, now from here you start. It is a very complex structure, very rich, very detailed, and the arguments and the logic with which it deals are so subtle, so wide, and so radical that one requires to readjust for sometimes his mind in order to catch fully all that Life Divine wants to say. Because I have seen very good philosophers not understanding Life Divine at all. They are good students of philosophy, they don't understand life divine because the power of concentration is not there, first. And secondly, the power to follow all that the logic and the argument implies is not there. It is very difficult to, you have to readjust your mind to some extent to follow all that life divine implies. Well, it is a, we try to make some construction out of life divine. Its first thing that strikes you is that it does not say divine life. It says life divine. So the insistence of that dawn of New Age is on life. Life and the possibility of its transformation. Life, human, and the possibility which the book establishes is, well, a transformation of life human into life divine. Insistence is not even on the divine. Insistence is on life, which is a term of expression of the divine. So, well, that is how we look at this great book, that it wants to take hold of life, considers life as its chief, aim to deal with. It's one element with which it deals is life. And it takes hold of life and tries to see how life can be turned into divine life. Now, the fact that he points out is that this life has manifested in man has an aspiration. Life has manifested on earth, and in man, the human being, in humanity as a group and individual, well, this life has an aspiration for perfection. And this aspiration for perfection is, well, contradicted by his actual experience. Man feels perfection, necessarily he aspires for perfection, but in actual life he does not attain perfection. Probably the actual life contradicts his aspiration, and therefore there are people who say that you should not try to become perfect because it will always be like that. The perfection of the ideal will be there, and actual imperfection will always be there. And therefore, this aspiration for perfection is unattainable. It is there to make you restless, to make you feel that you have to do something, but you will never arrive at what you think you must do. You see, the perfection will never be attained. This is one of the difficulties. And they say that the present constitution of man is such that he cannot become perfect. His mind, his senses, his body, all that is given to him, I mean his knowledge that is there, is so limited that you cannot expect with the present instrumentation that man would become perfect. How can man become perfect with his present body, his sense, his mind, his emotion, his impulses, his desires, his ego, all this, how can it lead him to perfection? That is one. Now, if Sherno says that this is all right, but look at nature, he says, and you will find that when you find the something contradictory, an ideal which is perfect, an actuality which is imperfect, but that is itself nature's method of working out. You cannot say that because it is contradictory, therefore it is impossible. Man has progressed by trying to create a harmony between that perfection and the actuality. He has always moved like that. When nature presents man with a contradiction, it means he has to solve it. Not he has to rest satisfied with that contradiction. If he remains satisfied with contradiction as he finds it, well, he does not progress. You see, the present constitution cannot be therefore taken to be final and perfect, you see. The mastery over nature was inconceivable at one time. But now, man has actually established mastery over nature. It was impossible to cross the seas. Well, it has now become possible to cross the seas. It was impossible to fly in the air. It has become possible to fly in the air. It was impossible to drive a vehicle without horse or bullock. It has become possible to drive it without horse or bullock. It was impossible at one time, is it not? And yet it has become possible. So it only means man has to evoke faculties, powers, capacities in him in order to attain the perfection which he envisages. It is not that he is condemned to remain confined to his present constitution. He has to evoke faculties, powers, capacities of mind, of life, of search, of discovery, of reason, and try to find out. He cannot rest satisfied and say, because there is contradiction, therefore nothing else is possible. No movement towards perfection is possible. And now, it brings this question as to how this life has come into being. Was life present? Is life a result of matter, inconscient energy, and then life has given rise? First, life coming from inconscient energy, and then this life again giving rise to mind. Why should inconscient give rise to something that is conscious? Conscious. That is one. Unless, as he says, that you accept that when life comes out of matter or the inconscience, it was involved already there in some form of potentiality, in some form of itself. Life must have been there in inconscient matter. It is then, therefore, that it can come into being. Mind, when it comes out of life, must have been in matter already, involved before evolution from matter to life, life to mind could take place. Well, if we take that, I says, um, because up till now the question of what is matter is not settled. People believed at one time that scientists could explain what is matter. It was, I think, 50 years back, and the last century, the scientists actually said and claimed that they would reveal what is matter, because matter is something which they can know, they did know and would know. Spirit, they didn't accept. Consciousness, they did not believe in. Soul, they did not want to accept. God was far from their acceptance. They said, these things we don't know. These things man imaginatively thinks these are subjective, but world is objective. Matter is something objective, and we know matter because we can touch it, we can weigh it, we can know it, we can perceive it, we can, deal with it, subject it to experiment and experience and change, and then note the changes that take place. We can deal with matter as if it was under our control. So we will reveal what is matter. We don't accept consciousness, we don't accept spirit, we don't accept God or soul or anything beyond. Matter we accept because our sense bears evidence of the existence of matter. We can weigh, we can know, we can touch, we can see, well, we can measure, and we can deal with it, manipulate, create processes, and find out its constitution and reveal what is matter. Now, at the end of 150 years of research and discovery, the scientists are as far from telling us what is matter as they were at the beginning of the century. They are not nearer the solution. Yes, they have revealed many processes. They have given us hypotheses one after another, but they have not given us what is matter. They have told us how matter behaves or what we can do with the processes of matter. They have not told us what is matter. You see, up till now, and I don't think that they would ever be able to tell us what is matter. It might be that perhaps matter is, as Aurobindo puts it here, a form of veiled life. And what is life again? What is life? Yes. Life, perhaps, as he says in Life Divine, is perhaps a form of veiled consciousness. A veiled consciousness is life. Well, what is the point? Perhaps, as he puts it here in life, in a form and a veil of higher state which are beyond mind. That is, matter is veiled life, and life is veiled consciousness. So mind is perhaps a veiled condition of something beyond mind. Quite tenable proposition. Well, and therefore, well, then if that is so, if mind is something which represents that which is beyond mind in a veiled form, then this mind, now feeling the need of perfection, knowledge, you see, or you can say harmony, bliss, light, freedom, immortality, well, perhaps this aspiration has a place because it is that veiled truth in mind which is impelling it to go beyond the attained formula of, well, natural evolution. So the aspiration then gains a certain validity. Aspiration becomes justifiable. You understand? Yes, aspiration becomes justifiable. That if matter is veiled life, life is veiled action of veiled form of consciousness, and mind is veiled form of something beyond mind, then the mind feeling the need of perfection, immortality, God, light, freedom, well, becomes something which can take place. It is justifiable. It is valid. Now, you can say that if you look at the process of growth that seems to have taken place, that man has evolved from the animal consciousness. In fact, he says animal is a laboratory in which nature has worked out man. You can say that. He says that in Life Divine like that. Then man himself can be a thinking and living laboratory in whom and with whose conscious cooperation, says he in Life Divine, nature wills to work out God or to manifest God. If animal is the laboratory in which man is evolved and worked out, man is a thinking and living laboratory in which nature works out with his conscious cooperation the manifestation of God. Well, because man, our reason or intelligence cannot order to and beat nature to stop at a certain stage. No, you can't go beyond. This is not within the power of man, you see. At a given stage of evolution, because um, we cannot condemn her as perverse and call it a disease or a hallucination when we find that nature through man is trying to evince evidence of her intention to go beyond or makes an actual effort to go beyond the present formula of man. That is what most of the people who are wedded to reason always do. If they find a phenomenon which they cannot accept scientifically, they will say it is mistake, hallucination, superstition, like that. There is no reason to suppose that. Even the best and most advanced scientists have become, well, wedded to their way of looking like the old Pandits or the superstitious people or the religious bigots. Actually, this happened to, well, Sir William Crookes, a great scientist of the world in England. Sir William Crookes wanted to show certain phenomena of supra-rational, causation before the Royal Society of Scientists in England. And they unanimously refused to look at the phenomena simply because science cannot, well, encourage or understand or accept phenomenon which is not subject to their way of looking at things. Sir William Crookes argued and tried to persuade them that he was not explaining anything. He told them that he had no explanation for the phenomenon, but the phenomenon took place on the material plane. And as they were dealing with material plane and physical phenomena, well, it was within their right to take cognizance of what was happening. They refused. It is then that he was compelled to start the Psychic Society of London, which Edward, what was his name? Ramo's father, Minister the great scientist Edward.
Eddington, do you mean?
No. He was one who worked with the electron, first who found out the electron. You see, well, there are eminent intellectuals and scientists who joined that body at that time, because the phenomenon was that of a lady who used to be possessed by a vital being, you see, and that vital being was capable of handling material things in such a way to defy all rules of physical science. The lady was lifted out of her chair to the ceiling directly without any intervening medium. Well, there were so many facts which he recounts in this first report of the Psychiatric Society of London. Well, that only shows that, you see, you can't stop nature at a certain stage and condemn everything that defies the canons of physical science. Now, to some extent, they have begun to change in the realm of what they call parapsychology. They have been admitting the necessity of going beyond strictly material limitations of evidence by positing the possibility of things which happen beyond the range of sense by calling it parapsychology. Well, it's a good admission and the first opening of a gate, perhaps which will flood, all their so-called limited knowledge and carry away the strictness with which they want to confine the knowledge of man only to matter and to processes evolved by scientists. Well, and one reason which they always argue about is that don't worry about these things. You see, be practical, they will tell people. Rational. And give up all this, will o' the wisp. This is all the time calling you, and there is enough to do in life, and you have to occupy yourself. What is all this nonsense about going round about soul and God and consciousness and perfection and immortality? It's all talk and bosh. There is enough to work in life and all, but this is how one wants to limit the capacity of possibility of experience. If you want to grow, you should not try to limit the field of your experience. You must keep it open. If you limit arbitrarily like that, you never can go beyond that field which you yourself have set for yourself. The only way to progress is to leave the field of experience open. You must say it can happen. Not to say, well, immediate and the practical occupies the whole human consciousness, you see. And material existence is the one thing that appears real. But this is really speaking, trying, as Sri Aurobindo says, to evade the problem. You are evading the problem when you confine yourself artificially or arbitrarily like that to only practical experience and immediate needs. Well, she says that the best thing would be out of this to accept what nature is trying to do and organize that. Now nature is trying to do haphazardly, so to say, by pressure here, by some opening out of a resistance and breaking out a resistance somewhere and showing something. Best would be to accept that, yes, we might have to go beyond the present formula. Then organize that knowledge by your intellect. Why not? Why say, no, we shall not seek anything, but whenever phenomena comes, you will be again baffled. Because nature is trying to press. Well, the best is to organize that knowledge and rationalize it. To accept a possibility and see whether it is a rational possibility. And to make a logic of it. Well, that would be more, in keeping with the power of man's reason. Now, in this second chapter, you find the opposition between spirit and matter is brought out. There is an opposition between spirit and matter. And there is a stand in which it is said that spirit inhabits this bodily mansions. See? It is the spirit that is really the living entity in the cosmos. And then we have to ask, what is matter? If we look at the total problem, then we have to admit that perhaps matter is a fit and a noble material which the spirit weaves constantly as his own girl. He says in Life Divine that it is spirit that builds recurrently the unending series of his own mansions. Matter is, therefore, in one sense, a noble and fit material for the spirit to make a gar for himself, to build his own multiple, unending series, recurrently unending series of mansions. In fact, as the Upanishad said long, long ago, matter itself is Brahman. Annam Brahma iti vyajanat. Taittiriya Upanishad says that matter is Brahman. Matter is the supreme. Matter is the infinite. Matter is not in conscience. You see? So, well, in fact, matter and spirit, when we speak of them as if they were in opposition, we forget that they are the two ends of one indivisible reality. One indivisible reality. At one end, the human mind and sense feels spirit. At the other end, it feels matter. But it's only one unending series, spirit and matter. There is a series by which one seems to the human mind and sense to pass from one to the other. But there is no contradiction. Matter itself is the spirit involved, or with a mask, so to say, and spirit is, well, holding all the potentiality of matter within itself. There is a grade that links this whole indivisible series from matter to the spirit, matter to life, to mind, to supermind. Well, the spirit, like that, there is a graded, scale, or as they call it, a hierarchy. For the human being, this hierarchy exists. That it connects, you see, from matter to the supreme consciousness or spirit. Well, really speaking, this pure spirit is real. And then people say that, but matter is mechanical, inert, unconscious. Therefore, they will put God and nature, one in opposition to other. God, supremely conscious, nature, absolutely inconscient. Not knowing the hierarchy which connects one with the other, and that God is immanent already in nature, in the cosmos, in the universe. And then he says, if you accept this opposition of God versus nature, then if you turn to God, well, then you turn away from nature. And if you turn to nature, then you deny God. Only accept nature, then you deny God. You only accept God, then you turn away from nature. So that you arrive at a partial solution of the problem. You arrive at a exclusion, so to say, not at a harmony and a reconciliation. There are spiritual people or spiritualists who believe in the spirit only as the reality. To them, the absolute is the real. The materialist, on the contrary, well, denies the spirit, and to him, matter alone is real. You see, he denies the reality of the spirit and affirms the reality of matter only. Denying spirit, denying consciousness, and for some time, for the materialist, the task is comparatively easy, because he can always give a logic by which people say, yes, that is true, matter is true, matter is real. Because all the normal consciousness, waking consciousness of man is so much, overpowered by evidence of the sense and appearance of things, that for a materialist to prove the reality of matter is, well, a simple process of telling that this is real, else is unreal. In one sense, it is simple. He can say matter is real or force is real, and if you ask him what is matter or what is force, then he will also be compelled to say it is unknowable. It is something that I don't know, but which I believe is real. If you say yes, matter is real, all right, what is matter? You probe further and ask him what, then you said matter is real, or what is matter? Then he has to say it is something unknowable. I don't know it completely, even now. Well, but really speaking, Sri Aurobindo puts in this chapter that there is really a reconciliation and and a synthesis possible, a reconciliation is possible. They are not two opposite contradictions you see at work. The contradiction is only in the mind, the mental contradiction, really speaking, you see. And this, take this whole universe, and then you say that matter is at work in the universe. All right. What is matter? Inconscience. So that an inconscience is at work in the universe. Or if you say force is working, then you say life. Then all that is a life energy, not only matter and inconscience, but only an energy. A life energy seems to have work. This kind of attitude might be for some time satisfactory, but the actuality that mind requires is not satisfied by saying that all is inconscience or all is force or all is, that does not satisfy the if you say, well, inconscience is an idea, force is only an idea, and mere idea does not satisfy the mind's sense of actuality. Because, see, when you take, for instance, you say spirit is real, all right, matter is real. Question, is matter real? Yes. Is spirit real? Yes. But if you rest in these two, there is some chance of your being satisfied with the sense of concreteness, because spirit can be concretely felt, matter can be concretely felt. But if you rest satisfied with life, or with mind, or with emotions, which are intermediate terms between matter and spirit, then you will find that that is not a lasting solution. A position the mind can take up in man's consciousness, where he affirms the reality of matter and says matter is real. All right. You may arrive at some sort of concreteness at the end of your experience. Or you say spirit alone is real. Then you may arrive at some sort of concreteness of the spirit. But the intermediate principles, if you rest satisfied, as there are systems of philosophy which do try to rest satisfied with life, existentialists, you see, life, live life, you will never be able to satisfy your sense of concreteness. Because these are intermediate truths. These are the two ends, matter and spirit. Well, there you come at one end, and then you come to a sense of concreteness about it. But if you get satisfied with an intermediate principle, you will find that, it does not satisfy, see, your sense of the reality. And then you can say agnosticism would be then last word. Something is there which is unknowable. That is how agnosticism would lead the intellect to. Intellect would be led gradually into admitting an unknowable. Intellect would say there is something, but that something is unknowable. That is the position of that English philosopher. What is his name? I forget his name. Begins with D, I think. In the last century, you see, he was a great propounder of agnosticism. He admitted that there is something, but that something is not knowable by man. It is no use man trying to know it, because he will never be able to know it. Because he took for granted that the present instruments of man are the only instrument of acquiring knowledge. He did not admit that man can develop into him, evolve into him other instruments of knowledge and consciousness. If you take man as fixed to his present psychological constitution, then naturally many things are impossible for man. But as in trying to find the potentiality of matter, man did not limit the field of experiment and experience, the same holds good for his mental and vital consciousness. That you should not arbitrarily say that certain thing cannot happen. You must leave the field open for experience and experiment. That when you don't do, you arrive at agnosticism and say there may be, or there is even, something which mind establishes. Intellect can establish what is this whole infinite universal energy, unknowable. something which you cannot know, right, in one sense. Because as man, he is wrong in taking himself only as a starting point. If he looks around, he will see that there is a tremendous amount of energy that is at work, a movement, boundless movement is at work on various planes, a complex movement. On the plane of mind, on the plane of matter, on the plane of life, on the plane of mind, and so many millions and millions of forces of energy are working. Now, what is that? Then say unknowable. This cannot be known. Agnosticism, the last word of intellectual reason when it limits itself to its present constitution and refuses to go beyond the possibility or potentiality that it presents. You can say that is there, but it escapes definition, Sherndo says. It escapes description. And Sherndo says, but that is at present unknowable, but may be attainable. You may know it not by mind, but by attaining it. It is possible to, therefore, take up an attitude in which the denial of the materialist and refusal of the ascetic both, they have been trying to dominate certain cultures. The denial of the materialist existed powerfully and worked strongly in European culture. The denial of the ascetic worked powerfully in cultures like India, where the spirit was accepted as the reality and life was made into an illusion and said life is unreal, spirit is real, God is real, life is unreal. Well, the materialist denial of the divine will culminate in European culture. They have been trying. If mind looks at matter and mind looks at spirit and insists on remaining mental, intellectual, rational, then both matter as well as spirit are unknowable to mind. Mind does not know matter, mind cannot know spirit. So that if unknowable is the only solution of mind, both matter and spirit are unknowable to the human mind as it is today. And if the materialist proceeds on the premises that the present constitution is the only possible constitution of man, limit yourself, he says, to you see, the sole means available are physical senses and reason. Sense, reason. These are the only two. And confine yourself to that. Well, if you say that one cannot escape beyond this, and reason must deal always and solely with facts only, which our senses provides or suggests, and the suggestions must be always kept down to the original suggestion, then of course there is no solution. If you ask them that why don't you go beyond your sense and beyond your reason, then they say, no, it is not possible. You see, what to do with those faculties and powers which are more powerful than sense evidence, more powerful than reason? How can we all the time negate the possibility of developing faculties and powers which are more powerful than our senses and more effective than our reason? Well, that puts this question, you see. Experience should be allowed to become an unlimited field for man's growth. And therefore, the evoking of faculties and powers, now dormant in man, now potential in man, well, is a necessary corollary to man solving his own problems. He cannot always insist on solving on the basis of his present powers. What powers he has are adequate to what he is doing. But if he is to solve the problem and bring about a harmony which is lacking, to remove conflict, to remove pain, to remove suffering, to remove, incapacity and all the difficulties of individual and collective life, then perhaps he has to bring into action other faculties. then his senses and his reason. Well, the latent faculties which are in all human beings, they are not a special privilege of only particular human beings, of individuals. They are possible and potential in all mankind. Well, and to support this possibility of new faculties, there is a vast field of evidence. It is not as if you are only believing in a superstition or in a mere imagination. Facts are there which hit you on the head. You see, you cannot refuse to accept those. And then you have to seek how it happens. I mean, phenomena of, hypnotism or telepathy or thought communication or, cure by will or transference of one will from one point to another or knowing somebody's thought. These things have happened. You see, even what you call reading the future, you see, that is called phenomenon of, prophesy, is it not? Yes, prophesy, or a correct apprehension of things before they happen by either a subtle vital perception or dream. Dream communication have actually preceded the actual occurrence on the physical plane, so that there is a number of facts which are there to show that there are dormant faculties in man. These are not the spiritual highest faculties, but these definitely prove that the present sense apparatus and reason are not the only instruments available to man, that there are other instruments possible to man, and there are facts and things that happen actually on the physical plane which prove the existence and action of these faculties. Now, well, he says, though he goes further and says that still this material rationalistic attitude or rational materialism has rendered a great service to spirituality itself, in the sense that it has tried to make the path clear, organize the whole effort, and refuse to accept superstition and imagination and wishful thinking. It has avoided wishful thinking, and a clear, pure, and disciplined intellect, therefore, is necessary even for spiritual life. And this is a very great, admission by Sri Aurobindo, and he kept to it most faithfully throughout his life. I have a letter from a friend who insists that there are disciples of Sri Aurobindo who have a great admiration for him and only devotion for him personally. But you will be surprised to know that knowing full well his divinity, which we knew, which we saw and which we knew, he always insisted on what he puts down here, a clear, pure, and disciplined intellect as a necessity for true spirituality. And this professor, who is very much, devotees of Sri Aurobindo and disciples, they always worship him. There is no surprise that they worship him. He was the divine, he is the divine. There is no question about it. But it is he that says at the same time that a clear, pure, and disciplined intellect is necessary for true spirituality. I am quoting his words. And he lived it. He lived it. My answer to this man would be, why shouldn't a man accept the divine when he finds it? Why should we always be stupid and refuse the divine when he meets him? Why? What right has anybody to say that the divine is not there? Well, if the divine is there and if somebody finds him, it is absolutely good that he accepts. Why should he not? What is wrong in accepting the divine when you find him? I mean, you have been trying to find, seeking all your life, and when you meet him, actually, what's the point in saying, I don't accept? It is the most ridiculous thing that would happen to man. It is good. Let him accept, and let him accept him as the divine. That is good for the world and for the man. There is nothing wrong. Why shouldn't anything be accepted as divine if one finds it so? I don't understand this logic of this great professor who thinks that he knows everything simply because he's a colossal ignorance. That's all. Insistence on mental egoism and vanity. It is all that comes to refuse the divine when he finds it. I don't say that he should worship, but how can you object to somebody worshipping? I don't understand. If somebody worships somebody as divine because he has found the divine in him, seen the divine in him, well, it is all right. Why shouldn't I? If somebody finds the divine in the stone, what is wrong in it? I don't understand. And if somebody finds him in the in Aurobindo, well, it is more reason for congratulating him, I think. Well, but still, this was very wonderful about him. He never made it a point to declare his divinity. Never. In fact, we had to tell him. I told him in 1918, in 1920 again when I saw him, that why are you waiting? I actually spoke these words to him. Why are you waiting? Then he said, yes, the divine is there. He didn't say, I am the divine. The most wonderful way, you can never find a more impersonal and a more reticent individual in the whole world, I tell you. With the power and knowledge that he had, well, either he would have gone mad or done something, terrific in the world, or brought a religion into existence, or done, could hold immense power within himself, immense knowledge without spilling, immense power without making a show of it. I said, yes, the divine is there, but it has to come and transform the whole of nature. Until the physical is transformed, the work of the divine is not done. That is clear, as he says here, clear, pure, and disciplined intellect, which he felt necessary for even spirituality. That in spirituality, this is a place. That yes, this part is done, this part is not done. So you don't run away with the idea that, oh, I have contacted the divine at one point, well, everything is done. No, not at all. Lot is to be attained yet. But that shows the necessity which he insisted upon, and I think of it, he was the most living example when he worked even for the world from behind and used the divine consciousness for controlling and guiding events of cosmic importance and world importance. Nobody ever knew it. We knew it because we were near him and we could feel and know. And he wrote it years after the thing was finished, to give the world that don't be confined to physical forces only, but there are other forces available to you. It is only for mankind that he made a statement after the whole event was over, not before. And there are people who always object and say, oh, how could he have done that? How could he? When a man has no reason to tell you something which he does not know, or why do you doubt his sincerity and honesty and straightforwardness? After all, you can't doubt the truth of a man's statement when he does it impersonally after the event is happened. It's not as if he said, now I am divine, look, I am going to govern the world. No. Never. He put the divine consciousness, operated, and then noted with a clear intellect the results. This is partial result. This, and he always consisted in saying, no, the absolute supermind is not yet working, because then there would be instantaneous result. In result would be instantaneous without any intervening, possibilities. But now I am working with the divine, working with the overmental consciousness, and it is a powerful force that is working, and it is one factor out of many, but one very powerful factor, and therefore it can mold events. Not that it can, bring about the immediate divine intended result, but it can certainly drive the whole course of event into that direction. You see, it can do it because it is a cosmic power, and more than cosmic power. Well, the Upanishad admitted not only Annam Brahma, but earth as the basis of manifestation. Prithvi Pajasyam, the Upanishad says, earth is the footing of the spirit. Earth is the footing of the spirit. It is a foothold on which it stands. What is this universe? If you look at the universe, you will find that it is an unknowable reality of which this universe is symbol, is an appearance of some unknowable reality. And when that unknowable reality becomes real to you, you can't put it in terms of mind. You can't express it in language, you see. The whole universe you have to look at. That is the first thing. You must not look small. You see, if you look at each tree, you miss the forest. So yes, look at the whole thing. Then you see, yes, it is an unknowable reality. Some unknowable reality is there. And when that becomes real to you, it is a reality, but it is unknowable. But when that unknowable becomes real, you can't express. You can't put in thought or terms of speech. But what does we say when you say unknowable? Exactly what does it mean? Absolutely unknowable? No. When you say unknowable, you may say not knowable by thought, not knowable by reason, not knowable by speech. You can't put it within the field of thought. It is outside the field of thought and covers perhaps thought. But you can't bring it in and include it in reason, thought, speech, idea. If consciousness makes an effort, consciousness can attain that which is unknowable to thought, unknowable to mind, unknowable to senses, unknowable to speech. If consciousness makes an effort, because consciousness is not only mind, consciousness is not only body, consciousness is not only senses, consciousness is that which uses the mind. Consciousness uses life. Consciousness uses nervous system. Consciousness uses the body. Now, if that consciousness makes an effort, well, perhaps that what to the mind and to the sense and to the speech is available can be attained. There is no reason why it should not be attainable by an effort of consciousness. If you say that, supposing consciousness acts and consciousness develops and attains that reality, what is the sign that it has attained? What is the positive proof that consciousness making a very great effort, concentration, development, enlargement, expansion, widening and so on, consciousness attains that unknowable reality? How do you know? Say the proofs are tangible. The proof you can know, the proof of the thing is in pudding is in the taste of it, is it not? In the eating of it. So when he has attained, there is complete reevaluation of life. He attains it. Well, when he attained, he did not know. When he attains it, he knows. Ramakrishna Paramhans, an unlettered villager who could not sign his name even in Bengali language, well, when he attains that, he has a knowledge which is more than the knowledge of many university products. You understand? So that this is attainable is proved by instances where one who attains, well, undergoes a radical transformation and, well, there is a reevaluation of his whole individual life. The way in which he looked at the world before and the way in which he perceives it after are not the same. Are they absolutely different? That is what makes the difficulty of spiritual persons. They meet with somebody and says, oh, he's a bad man. Well, a spiritual man says, yes, means there is a bad tendency in nature. That's all. There is no bad man. Universal nature has some tendency which is low. That's all. Well, there are so many things that are like that. What is wrong there? There is nothing wrong. Oh, you see, the revaluation, the way of looking from spiritual point of view is absolutely so different, because once you contact that reality, the individual constitution undergoes a change and there is a revaluation of the whole apparatus of man's cognitions of things outside. He acts and perceives differently. Well, there also, as Shirnu says, he must keep his intellect clear, and yes, with that he must again have clear, pure, and disciplined intellect. Even there, even then there is a revaluation. Sri Aurobindo never looked at the world, as people, but when anybody met, I found him a perfect gentleman. Perfect gentleman. He said, oh, most very, very nice, very polite, and never knew that they had met a transcendent, supreme, divine reality. That if there was something he felt, yes, many felt, who never believed in God even felt, oh, we met somebody. Yes, but he never said anything. And the most surprising part of it is that there was a lady junior to him in age, you see, in 1918 when I was in Pondicherry. What is her name? She was niece of Tagore, you see. And Chaudhary, yes, Chaudhrani, Sarla Devi Chaudhrani. You see, she came to see him in Pondicherry. And I was sitting there at one corner, and when she came, he got up from there, and I was staggered. Sarla Devi, quite a good public worker, is all right, but Sri Aurobindo and Sarla Devi, there is nothing to. I mean, he was senior in age besides, I mean. But you see, that gave me that when you attain that consciousness, you attain a perfect balance. You don't lose anything of that pure intellectual control of the being. No. This is proper, it will be like that. And if the divine is there, divine will work. That's not the business. That's not your business to bother about it. That is the way in which the expression, the revaluation when it's taken is controlled again, you see, by a pure intellect. Well, this is very great lesson for people to learn because, you see, great things happen and are there. And when they happen, you have to keep them with a power to hold them inside you and to allow things and to see things and retain a pure, disciplined mind because that is necessary. If you lose that, well, the expression becomes mixed, you see, and the very purpose of divine manifestation is spoiled. The divine manifestation is a harmony. It's not a disordered throwing of a miracle on mankind, not at all. It is not something extraordinary and queer, you see. Yes, it is an ordered rhythm of divine life that has to be brought into life. An ordered rhythm, irresistible, you can create that by living that life inside and by disciplining the whole instrumentation to manifest the divine only. You see, that is a necessity. Well, there is therefore a great revolution in his outer life sometimes by his contacting that reality and knowing it. You see, that he has attained, you see that there is a revolution in his life. Say, so and so, oh, he was doing that, now he is not doing it. What is doing? He is doing something else. That's it. That's a sign that he has attained, you see. A reevaluation of inner and perhaps a change in outer life. That comes, you see. But therefore, Sri Aurobindo says the unknown, unknowable is not the unknown. Unknowable is by mind and thought and speech, but it is attainable. Yes. The unknown is not the unknowable. And unknowable, to the unknowable, there are always faculties that correspond to that which can know it. When you say, this is unknowable, it means you have to bring into existence capacity by which it can be known. That's all. It doesn't mean it will always remain like that. No. That is the structure of the universe is like that, you see. He calls it in Savitri that man is a fragment and a residue. He is a fragment of a whole and a residue of a process. He contains within him all fragment of the whole. Therefore, all the contour and the curvature of the whole is there present. He is a residue. In the residue, all the elements of the whole process are present. So when you say unknowable, the fragment has power to evoke, to make it knowable, to attain it. In the residue, the elements which will attain that which you can't know now are there present. You understand? Yes, that man is only a fragment and a residue. Um, Only he is not compelled to develop all these faculties. He has voluntarily to choose to develop or choose not to develop. He is free to say, I will not do anything, but leave those things as her son is telling all the time. Or don't bother about these things. I don't want to believe. Oh, you're quite free to believe. Nobody compels. That's why I told the boys there at Tao. The boys had put a questionnaire, you see, in which what is God? So I told him, one idea of God I give you. God is the greatest democrat I have ever known. Because he never forces himself upon you unless you vote for him and you choose him. He interferes only when you choose him, otherwise he'll leave you absolutely alone. He's the greatest democrat I have ever known. So you choose the faculty, whether you awaken the faculty or not awaken, your choice. If you awaken, there's a discipline. There is a work to be done, a hard work to be done, but a recompense is that you live in quite another consciousness afterwards.
It's the grace of the Lord that the Mother that choosing. Isn't it only the grace of the Lord and the Mother and you get will? So
no, there are two parts. When you actually make the attempt, there are two parts of sadhana. Purusharth, the part of the individual, and the divine grace with the divine has to do. Two parts of sadhana, spiritual effort. Yogic life is divided into two parts in Sri Aurobindo: the personal effort and the divine work. Personal effort is to be done by the individual and not by the divine. Aspiration, rejection, and surrender are within the realm of the individual effort. One, to bring perfection, to develop powers, to give him the truth, to give him the cosmic consciousness, the transcendent consciousness, give him the transformation, the Maheshwari, Mahakali, Mahalakshmi, Mahasaraswati aspect, and all the perfection of the divine, power is the work of the divine. That is divine grace. That one cannot claim that I did sadhana, therefore I must become great. Not allowed in the scheme of things. You may have done 40 years of sadhana and yet you might be only stumbling. And you may have done no sadhana and he might give you a power which is necessary for his work, not for you. It's not raising you to greatness, but he wants to do some work. And he can utilize a Churchill if he likes, or a Roosevelt if he likes, because he has to carry some work through. You understand? Yes. But the advantage of the yogi lies in consciousness. He is in contact. While a great Churchill is not in contact, he is ignorant. While a yogi can be, man of knowledge. So that is much greater than the work which Churchill does unconsciously for the divine, and the yogi does small work for the divine consciously. Quite different. And this work is sometimes greater. That work is good from the divine's point of view for the world. But this work which the yogi does is necessary for the world, to raise the world to the divine. You see? Yes. Well, man has awakened only his reasoning faculty and his science today, but when he has been tired of it, perhaps he will try to go into other fields, and perhaps then he will find that there are realms of experience possible to him in other fields than material science. And there is a good sign, because this materialism or the practical reason and the scientific attitude today is trying to acquire knowledge, more and more knowledge. That means it is trying to know the truth. You see, by knowledge, when you say knowledge, you mean knowledge only truth, you see. And when it goes on trying to acquire more and more knowledge, this very push will carry it beyond limit of matter. You see, as they came to atom fissioning all of a sudden. You see, they came pushing, suddenly they found even in matter, infinite energy is confronted with a power which they did not think was possible for them to attain. Well, this very push of trying to know more will take it beyond the limit. Today, the material, practical intellect believes in a monism, in Advaita of matter. Matter alone exists. It forgets that, oh, you see, matter is a formation of unknown force. And uh, we will find that not only matter, but perhaps energy. And in that case, they would say that mind, life, and matter are only one energy. One energy at the bottom formulates itself in three forms. One form material, another form life, third form mind. One energy, ekam bijam bahudha yak karoti. Aitari Upanishad says like that. One seed, it, manifests itself into many forms. In many ways, it multiplies. So, one cosmic energy, radical and rudimentary, well, it manifests itself in triple form. That same energy takes the form of matter or material energy, takes the form of life and life energy, takes the form of mind and mind energy. And when you say energy, it is conscious energy. It cannot be unconscious energy which takes form in life and in mind particularly. It has therefore a will of its own. This energy has a will. And will that is, this will in man becomes will for infinite life. See, will for absolute or unlimited knowledge. This very energy now finds expression in mental energy. In life of man, this energy wants to attain infinite life, infinite delight. This infinite energy that is triple in its manifestation, when it manifests itself in mind, it wants to attain perfect knowledge. It wants to attain, is a kind of perfection which it has not yet attained. So it's that will which is trying to work out through the triple form and attain some end which is within the will, you see. And this very will is working through science, through material sciences, because they are trying to control life. Even they have introduced birth control. You see, they are trying to eliminate disease. This will is already working, towards this kind of conquest without knowing. I mean, the agents do not know, but this will is working towards that end, which, if it becomes conscious in man, well, would lead to the opening of the new faculty and the new consciousness. A terrestrial omnipotence for humanity, as Sri Aurobindo puts it in Life Divine. Science is trying to create for man a terrestrial omnipotence for humanity. In fact, man has become omnipotent so far as the earth is concerned. He can destroy germs, he can destroy animals, he can destroy vegetation, he can fly to other, bodies in the heaven. You see, he has become, for practical purpose, the ruler of the earth. And so he has actually the terrestrial omnipotence for humanity today. Humanity is omnipotent so far as the earth is concerned. It can do what it likes. Only they go on fighting with each other. Otherwise, they would just do what they can, what they like to do. They can do it today. Well, this is now come to being. And so far has it advanced that space and time are vanishing points now, are reduced to the vanishing point. You start on the 20th and go to a place on the 19th. You reduce time and space to the vanishing point today. Even science has done this, he says. And science wants to make man the master of circumstance and outgrow his limit to causality, you see. Well, of course, he does not do it individually today, science. He does it in a collective group. Science cannot do these things as an individual scientist. It is not possible. Collectivity must take advantage of scientific progress and apply. So it is now a result of the collectivity, collective will of mankind, you see. And individual is only used as a means to make this collective progress possible. But with this scientific will or this will to increase knowledge in the collectivity, is it conscious? In the collectivity is not conscious. The group does not think of scientific progress, you see. Group only takes hold of the advantage which the individual gives to it by progressing. So that this will is not conscious in the collectivity, but something beyond this collectivity is dictating, this progress of science towards mastery of matter. He calls it superconscious might, which uses the individual as the center and collectivity as the field. This great thing that is dictating this progress, so to say, great might or great power, is using the individual for progressing and the collectivity for the field of applying this progress of knowledge, you see, to life. And this cosmic impulse at increasing the knowledge, which the modern science is serving without knowing. A cosmic impulse to make man the omnipotence ruling the terrestrial life. And this the modern science is trying to do without knowing. I think we'll stop there for today.